Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wrestling fans of all ages, welcome back to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast.
I'm Mr. Wrestling.
And I'm Mrs. Wrestling. And this week we've got one of those cards where if you're a wrestling fan, your calendar is completely booked.
We're bringing you a two-part episode loaded with everything from the independent wrestling scene to one of the biggest weekends of the year across multiple promotions.
In part one, we're shining a spotlight where it belongs on independent wrestling. We sit down with a man who carries himself with class, confidence, and a level of refinement that's becoming a rarity in this business. We're talking about the gentleman of exquisite caliber, Godrick Sandwell. We'll discuss his journey, his philosophy, and what separates a gentleman from the rest of the locker room.
Then in part two, grab your notebooks because we're going full wrestling nerd.
We're previewing a weekend that feels like wrestling fans hit the jackpot.
We'll break down WWE Night of Champions, look ahead to NXT Great American Bash, and then make our way over to TNA Slammiversary, where championships, rivalries, and legacies are all on the line.
But we're not stopping there. We'll step into the world of All Elite Wrestling as AEW closes out the weekend with one of the most ambitious crossover events in modern wrestling, Forbidden Door. AEW joins forces with Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre Stardom and New Japan Pro Wrestling for a global showcase that could steal the entire weekend.
So whether you're here for the interviews, the predictions, the hot takes, the deep dives, or to just hear two wrestling fans talk way too much about professional wrestling,
Pull up a chair, turn the volume up, and get ready.
this is the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast, and we're starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fans from around the world, welcome back to another special edition of the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast.
Today, we're stepping away from the weekly reviews and predictions to sit down with one of the most unique personalities on the independent wrestling scene.
That's right, a man who brings class, charisma, a touch of sophistication every time he steps between the ropes.
Whether you've seen him compete, entertain crowds, or showcase his unmistakable style, you know there's nobody quite like him.
Joining us today is the gentleman of exquisite caliber himself, Godrick Sandwell.
We're going to talk about where his wrestling journey began, the passion that drives him, the lessons he's learned along the way, and what goals still remain on the horizon.
Plus, we'll dive into the character, the mindset, and the story behind one of professional wrestling's most distinguished gentlemen.
So grab your favorite beverage, settle into your favorite chair,
Preferably something a gentleman would approve of.
and let's ring the bell for this exclusive conversation with Godrick Sandwell. This is the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast. All right, guys, you heard our introduction of Mr. Godrick Sandwell, but let's leave it to him to introduce himself.
Oh, you're gonna make me be a braggadocian, but very well. But ladies and gentlemen, angels and demons, Nephilim and Cambion, and now for the Domphir and the Lycanthrope, the gentleman of exquisite caliber, and now I can also say the herald of the old ways, Godrick Sandwell.
It is so
And
good to have you, Godrick Sandwell.
yeah, the honor is mine, I assure you. And please, just Godrick is fine.
Okay, Godrick. Well,
Godrick,
listen,
I'm loving the jacket.
yeah,
Right, I actually had this made courtesy of my butler not too long ago.
that's incredible. And you got a new hairdo since we last saw you. It looks great.
Yeah, you noticed. Thank you.
Uh,
It was a little bit of a long time coming, and let me see. About a week and a half ago, I was thinking my lucky stars.
oh, yes. Shorter hair is the way to go, I feel like.
Well,
Yeah.
depends. Sometimes I don't mind having a little bit more of a mane. I actually do kind of miss it, to be honest with you. But when it comes to the outdoor shows and when it gets sweltering out, oof, certainly saved me from becoming a slice of bacon, I assure you.
So
Godrick,
Godrick, for
go
those who
ahead,
may
babe.
be oh so
Go
so
ahead, babe.
so Godrick, for those who may be meeting you for the first time, what exactly does it mean to be the gentleman of exquisite caliber?
Ooh. Very few times I've been asked what exactly exquisite caliber would mean. Well, Once again, not to be on the braggadocious side, but since you're kind of putting me on a mild spotlight, and luckily for you, I'm a little bit of a belle of the ball. But unlike your traditional average chaps, I guess you might say, I like to carry myself in a little bit of a different way, as I'm sure you can no doubt tell. I like to talk a certain way, I like to be a certain way, and especially when I get in between those ropes, I certainly like to lay a thrashing upon a rapscallion or two or four or however many happen to be in the ring at that particular time in a special kind of a way.
That's awesome. So, when you walk through the curtain, what do you believe separates you from every other wrestler in the locker room? Besides the fact that you are incredibly well read and distinguished, what separates you from every other wrestler?
Let's see here. If I can't say well read, which probably compared to the average wrestler, I might be. Am I allowed to say my garb?
Yeah, you could say your garb, absolutely.
Well, in that case, I think that's where I'm going to go. Is I don't know too many people who will dress in Victorian style tailcoats these days, and I have to admit I'm rather put out by that. But fashion choices be what they may. I realize I'm probably a little antiquated in that regard.
I mean, that and you joined us here with your flip phone, right?
This is called a flip phone. Oh
Maybe
heaven!
did you flip it? Did you flip it open?
I'm gonna have to examine this a little bit later. Jeffrey, what is a flip phone? And he'll answer me later. He's taking care of some other business on my behalf.
Oh,
Now, Godric, have we reached a point in professional wrestling and, more importantly in society where we need gentlemen more than ever?
Hmm. In what in what sense or what realm are you speaking of? Because I could answer that probably a few ways.
The way you see these people in professional wrestling, we won't mention names, but certain pizza people that look
Mm.
at things a certain way, act a certain way, and don't have the class and the exquisiteness of someone like yourself.
Well, if you were referring to a certain skin flint that I had the shall I be nice and say pleasure to come across actually fairly recently as well. The way I look at it is you are free to look at your life or anyone else's life through any lens that you should so wish. What I do take some objection, however, is when you get a little, shall I say, hands on with some of your approaches when someone clearly does not see things in a similar fashion that you do. It's a little tough for me to articulate at this particular moment, but in reference to, if I may say his name, one one Thomas Mathis, I have nothing but the utmost respect for how he chooses to carry himself. The lower the percentage of body fat, the much better diet than I would traditionally see. And I mean, well, on the other hand, he sticks to the boiled chicken and rice. I'm more of a steak tartare type of a gentleman. But be that as it may, where the line was drawn was when he tried to recruit me. When yet all I would say to him is, "Sorry, that's just not how a gentleman is. A gentleman has to be a lot more eclectic, a lot more well read, as has been mentioned, and I just can't be one dimensional."
Yeah, I agree with you there. You're definitely not one-dimensional. I do feel like in some of the matches I've watched between you and the absolute Thomas Mathis, and his approach is very, it is very one-dimensional, I would say. He is anti-pizza, which everybody loves pizza. Come on. I mean, did he actually taste it when you closed that door the other night? Because it sounded like maybe he enjoyed it, but anyways, be that as it may, yes, you are very dynamic and multifaceted and layered, and I think that's awesome. And yes, I agree. He is one-dimensional. But that being said, I did watch three of your matches with him recently, and I feel like this is an incredible rivalry. You guys have great in-ring chemistry. What do you say about that? How do you feel about the matches you've had with him, and where do you see this going? Is this gonna be an epic feud between the 2 of you, like a lifelong career-making feud? What do you think?
Hmm. Actually, begrudgingly, I do agree with you. Thomas Mathis does tend to make me think outside of even my own scope from time to time, which I do genuinely appreciate that. Don't tell him I said that. Hmm. Do I see him as I guess you would call a rival for life? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I see him as a rival for life? I would most likely say yes. And do I look forward to finding out? You better believe it.
Yeah, I think it's you guys have had some really, really good matches, and this past weekend at Thundercade, you had that three-way. Now, the other competitor
You speak of our Lord of the Wild, the Lycan Warlock, and the Prophet of the Old Ways in one War Wolf Creed.
now, it seems like in the match that you guys had at Thundercade that you guys had to set aside maybe a friendship or something in order to proceed sort of at one point during the match. Now, is he somebody that you normally associate with? What's your I guess your relationship to him?
As strange as this may seem to a traditional outsider, I know you two have a little bit of a different lens when it comes to relationships, and that's perfectly fine. Would I consider Warwolf a friend? Actually, yes, I would. I don't know what possessed him to, say, take me under his wings, so to speak. But in my conversations with him, in my so far, albeit a little bit limited, but in my dealings with him, nevertheless, it's wow. At first, it really I might not have been standing here had I said the wrong thing, but as time as time has evolved, as our as our dialogues have gotten a little bit more in depth, I'm safe to say that he's treated me really well for whatever reason. I'm still trying to figure that out, but do I consider him a friend? In a word, yes, yes, I do.
So, how do you think your friendship is going to proceed after Thundercade? Because you guys did have to kind of set that aside during the match.
Unfortunately, we did. I spoke with him shortly after that evening, and thankfully, things between him and I are still very much cordial. I actually look forward to going back to the Kingdom of Fire and Ice here. I want to say within the next, was it the next week, the next couple of days? Forgive me, I my schedule is a little off right now, but he did mention something about having a grand feast that I should be in attendance for. So it's like, ooh, do you have lava cake for yours truly?
I want to come. I love lava cake. So, when it comes to your matches and even some of your promos, I've been doing lots of research and, we've been actually we've chatted before. So, I feel like sometimes you are a gentleman and you are well spoken, and then sometimes there's like some cracks. There's a few cracks in the gentlemanly facade. Have you ever been tempted to abandon your principles and simply settle a dispute with your fist?
Every day,
Every day.
every day. There are parts of me that I don't particularly care to speak about all the time. I am open to discussing some of that. However, even a has to know when to gentleman has to understand that there's a time to talk and there is a time to fight. And unfortunately, when I was younger, obviously not the gentleman that you see before you today, things were a little different.
I mean, we've all got a past. Come on. I'm not always as nice as I seem either.
Yeah, one of the one of the more apropos things that I've been seeing recently is even a fallen angel was was among the gods at one point, or conversely, probably a little bit more from a colloquial standpoint, a demon was once an angel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, Godric, I saw your most recent match and, really enjoyed what you brought to the table in that triple threat match. And I must say, I absolutely thought when you hit that blockbuster, that was it. But to be robbed of the chance to advance in the tournament, that's gotta sting.
I do confess it does a little bit, especially when the one applying that said sting was that skinflint who just happened to be in the right place at the right moment. But I will say, in gentlemanly spirit, kudos to you for advancing on to go claim that legacy championship. I do wish I do wish him the best of luck, just simply because I am that type of a person. However, should anything happen, and that's all I'm gonna say for now.
So with that being said, what achievement would cement your legacy as a gentleman? Would it be finally overcoming someone like Thomas Mathis, or is it, maybe securing something like the Legacy Championship?
As much as I would like to educate Mr. Mathis on some of the other intricacies of life, as I've done recently, as was mentioned in his pizza-induced coma, which I'm actually going to agree with you on this. I do think he actually secretly liked it. So spread the word.
I won't tell. I won't tell, cause I
Oh, I
mean, come
will.
on.
But anyways, more back to the point before I get too sidetracked, because well, sometimes I do. Hmm, that's actually a very good one. I've had my eyes on a couple of championships, one of which actually being held by another very good friend of mine in one man of power, sir.
Yes, you had a match with him earlier in the year, didn't you? I think at the New Year's show, is that correct?
Let me think here. It wasn't the New Year show. I want to say I remember debuting in St. Luke's. Then it was the very next show that I had come across my old friend. Forgive me, my timeline is also a little bit off, but suffice it to say, I did not win that championship on that particular night. But going against an awesome competitor like Serge, I can't really say I'm embarrassed about that. He's he's a fine competitor, a good man, and quite frankly, I'd like to know where he gets his strength from because it is quite freaky.
Yeah. Another exciting thing I think that happened to you recently is that you did have the honor to be able to open the recent Bruno Sammartino show for Pros of Wrestling. Is that correct?
Oh, that is very much correct, and, that that was a tremendous evening. Not only get to open the show for the Bruno Sammartino tribute show, by the way. Rest in peace to, Bruno Sammartino. Getting to, meet a couple of good folks like a Johnny Rods, who else was there? Bill Apter, I got to, exchange a handful of pleasantries with. It was just wow. I couldn't believe that I was there until it was all over, and I'm looking back at pictures, I'm looking back at videos of, me and that green rapscallion in Tyler Grayson, although kudos to him too, he's a fine competitor in his own right, though this Grayson Nation thing admittedly confuses me. But that being said, it was just a night to remember.
Now,
So,
speaking of exquisite gentlemen, Bruno Sammartino was one of the biggest gentlemen in professional wrestling. What do you think would happen if the exquisite gentleman were to ever have crossed paths with the living legend, Bruno Sammartino?
Oh, heavens, I'm not really sure if I can answer this question with a straight face, but I'll give it my best. Well, ideally speaking, we could perhaps have a pleasant conversation about whatever he would like over whatever we would choose. Knowing my luck, unfortunately, I would probably be standing across from the ring from him, and well, then a gentleman must do what a gentleman must do to claim his victory.
what beverage would best represent you if you were to have a drink with somebody? What would you say is like your beverage? Godrick Sandwell in a glass.
That is a mighty fine question. That actually also depends on my company. When I cavort with some of my more, shall I call them upper esteemed associates, you might catch me with a nice whiskey sour, perhaps an old fashioned, or one of my personal favorites is a Manhattan. Or should I descend to the depths and possibly play some cards with either the Furies or wine and dine with the finest of demons. I'm not too choosy. It could be simply to because I don't want to be staying down there for too long. Anyways, gets a little hot under the cuff.
Yeah, they probably don't have much ice. So,
They do not, and it can be a little uncomfortable down there from time to time.
yeah. All right, so let me challenge you here. Let me play a little devil's advocate. Speaking of, having drinks with demons. So, wrestling history is filled with rule breakers and rebels. Why should fans get behind a gentleman when the loudest voices often get the biggest reactions?
Yes, that is actually quite an interesting one. That's a conundrum we all face, isn't it? Let's see. As simply put as I can, although it is the loudest voices that do garner the most attention, it's also the ones that can keep their calm in the midst of a raging storm. Those are the ones who you should seek counsel from because while everybody else is making noise, while everyone else seeks whatever it is that they seek. I mean, I'm not going to speak for anybody, of course, but somebody like me, I would rather be the light in the darkness if I can help it. I would rather help anyone reach to wherever they want to go, but I prefer to do this in a more humble or in a lot less of a braggadocious manner.
Yeah.
But for anybody who may not see it that way, and that's perfectly fine. But for those who do, those are the ones that I will do everything in my power to rescue or to guide along their ways as I am needed.
Yeah.
Now, Godric, I get it, wanting to be the light in the darkness and, helping those. But aren't there moments where being honorable just simply isn't enough to succeed to make it to that next level?
Mm, especially in a business like this that we occupy, I'm going to have to reply, unfortunately, that is an accurate statement. Honor, dignity, and being the upstanding sort does indeed only get you so far. And as I had mentioned earlier, even behind my smile, there are parts of me that I don't like to speak about if I can help it. As has been said, we all have demons, and some of us are a little bit closer to our demons than others.
Sorry, I'm reading over my questions. So
Well, all right, take your time. I am here. As I said, Jeffrey is taking care of a few of my affairs, so I can be here with you.
my butler's name is Siri.
Uh, I'm
She's
afflicted.
nice. She's
Oh,
nice. Yeah, she's really
oh,
nice.
oh, perhaps Jeffrey and Siri will get along quite famously.
They might. We have another one too for our kids named Alexa. She's great with kids. I think she's like an au pair. I think maybe that's what we'd call
Hmm,
her.
let's see here. I'm seeing a lot of collectibles in young sir's background, so maybe do you have a couple dollars that you could loan a gentleman? Because Mr. Mathis, I do confess, rather ate me under the table last we saw each other.
Plus, you had to pay for his dinner. Pizza, hello.
Yes, I did, and he was rather famished. I was actually quite astonished at his appetite. Very ravenous.
Right, he had to be hungry. Probably all he ate was chicken and broccoli before your match, and like a slice of pizza or five would have just done him really good after that strenuous match.
Hmm. That does explain a lot, but remind me to come across him once again after he gets out of his marinara-induced coma and get the tip money back.
We probably will never interview him because we are avid pizza eaters in this house, and so I don't think he'd feel comfortable here. So back to, gentlemanliness and how, distinguished you are. Which wrestler do you think would benefit most from etiquette lessons?
Hmm.
It could be anybody, but anybody you've come across.
No. Unfortunately, you caught me without my litany of wrestlers that could use a lesson in manners. But let me see if I can think of a few off the top of my hand. Let me see here. Yes, one especial would be one. How do you say his name again? Yes, it would be the miasma Zach Ramses. he likes to cavort himself as this admittedly gargantuan individual, and he pushed around a very good associate of mine in one Daniel Exotic, who unfortunately has his troubles with his partner right now.
Ooh, yeah.
That situation just was absolutely appalling to witness. But Dan, if you ever see this for any reason and you need my help, I am a simple message away. Jeffrey will come help you as well if I am unable for any reason. But as far as Mr. Canton goes, then that's going to be a whole different story. But we'll leave that one. We'll leave that one aside.
I feel
He's
like it's been coming though for those two. I mean, I remember, oh gosh, it was probably sometime this time last year, just after Thundercade. I think it was the show after Thundercade. You know, Daniel Exotic was in there in a tag team match fighting all by himself while the other guy got his pants on and he didn't help at all. And I thought that was going to be the end of them, but it wasn't. They really hung in there for a whole year and then it all just kind of came to an end here. Do you think it was building or is it maybe just something all of the sudden?
I would definitely say it was building. Speaking with both of them as often as I'm able to, you could feel the tension between them. And as much as I try to remedy the situation, unfortunately, it did not work. Evidently, and so I wish there was more I could have done for them, but unfortunately, I could not.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do, really. I mean, they kind of they have to work it out, I guess.
Quite. And as far as certain other individuals, again, I don't have my notebook with me this very instant, but there's a litany of folks that I wouldn't mind giving a first class lesson firsthand when it comes to good manners, and there's actually even more that could use quite a lesson in dictation as well. So hearing some of them talk is just excruciating.
Yeah.
Now, Godric, let's play a little what if game here. If
All
you
right.
were elected commissioner of all of professional wrestling for one day, what would your first decree be as the gentleman you are?
One decree of my choice, correct?
Absolutely. You are the commissioner in this scenario.
Okay, okay. Let's see here. Anything I hmm. Pardon me for being a little bit jaunty with this one, but I think I would declare, in a professional wrestling sense, of course, whatever day that I am to be the commissioner, Lava Cake Day.
Yes, I'm here for it. I would be a part of Lava Cake Day. You know, speaking of, situations, let's see here. And you did mention a feast. If you were hosting a formal dinner for wrestlers, who would receive an invitation and who definitely would not be welcome?
Hmm. That's probably a little bit of an easier list for me to rattle off. Let's see here. My Lord of the Wild would definitely be on that guest list. He does enjoy some of the finer things in spite of him being a lycanthrope, which still puzzles me as to why he took a shine to me. But I'm not complaining. Let's see here. Daniel Exotic, I would definitely invite over because he's a very good man. Let's see. Surge would be on the top of the list. I'm not sure if the resident Wendigo in D Savage would be interested, but he would be beyond welcome. Hmm. Let's see here. Because my feast might involve some delicious pizza as well, and actually, yours truly is a little bit of a chef in such regards. So, but anyways, Mr. Thomas Mathis would probably be omitted from the guest list as he would just cause too much of a ruckus over such deliciousness called pizza. Hmm. Who else would I? Who else would I? Yes, one gentleman, using the term loosely, in one R.D. Mosh who likes to
Oh.
myself as the devil of 717 or of 814 or both. Hmm. I'm not sure if he would be welcomed among my menagerie, but should he wish the invitation, I suppose I can't really say no to him now, can I?
What about Pit Chick? Would she get an invitation? That would be crazy because, they're like a package deal.
Pit Chick would be more than welcome to join as well. I don't have quite as much of the objection to her, but if it would be a package deal, I would understand 100%.
Yeah.
Now, throwing on my Booker hat, I'm just throwing this out there for 814 Wrestling and, what could be, a match of the year for you. Pizza on a pole match. I think it could sell out. I mean, what a match. It would work.
It would be incredible.
Yeah, are you suggesting that Mr. Mathis and I once again lock up for pizza on the pole?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the momentum is in your corner. I think the tide is shifted, and I think it's time for the gentleman to put that Mathis in his place, the
Mhm.
pizza place.
Now, should that ever be the case, not only would I welcome such an endeavor, I would also just make one request. All I would want is for the pizza on the pole to be a margarita pizza.
I do love
Classy.
margarita pizza. I do love it.
We have to change up the pace from the usual pepperonis, do we not?
Yes, we do. We don't want to totally kill him. We just want to debilitate him a little bit with some light cheese and sauce, but no pepperoni, definitely not.
Don't forget about the mozzarella and the basil.
Correct. You're right.
Don't think that one went past me. I'm much more perspicacious than the average chap.
Now, 5 years from now, when fans hear the name Godrick Sandwell, what do you hope that they say?
5 years from now, wow. All right. Well, I guess. Well, unfortunately, I don't have my crystal ball near me, but that's okay. Actually, speaking of that, there we go. Getting a little dark in my neck of the woods. Let's see here. In 5 years, 5 years. Let's see here. Well, first of all, I would like anybody who remembers me to perhaps look at me as like wow, this gent right here, he was one of the more well dressed guys that's ever come across. That would be nice. But more importantly, I would like to be known a lot more for my work ethic and my work rate in the ring, if that would be at all possible. I take uh, I take as much pride as anything else. Yes, I know that is rather sinful speaking in devils and angels, but it doesn't change that every time I step in between those ropes, no matter who I'm facing, whether it's a friend, whether it's a foe, whether it's something in between, outside, all around, doesn't matter. When I'm in between those ropes, no matter how many people are in attendance, I give it everything I can. I leave whatever part of my soul in that ring that I can spare that particular day. And if I can help it, I leave even more.
That's one thing I did when I was watching your matches. I did take notes on it, and there is no quit in you. You know, all the odds can be in the favor of your opponent, and you just keep coming. You take a lick and keep on ticking, I guess is the phrase, but you work hard in the ring. Every match is just full of passion and and you're like super athletic. That's one of the things that I noticed. Like you're a really great wrestler. And so I definitely think that the fans, would take that away from, that would be part of your legacy, as well as that you're tenacious, so
Now, first of all, you are very kind for those words, and secondly, I can only hope so. As much as I would prefer to have a positive perception among the general consensus, because I know there's going to be people that don't like me no matter what I do. That's perfectly fine. But obviously, as has been said earlier, there's only so much I can do to alter perceptions. Or if somebody thinks less of me, then that's their prerogative. There's just nothing I can do about it. All I can do is what I do.
Now, with that being said, Godric, we're wrapping up the first half of 2026 and we're coming into the rest of a, monumental year in professional wrestling. What is the goal for the rest of 2026 for the Gentleman of Exquisite Caliber?
Hmm. At one place specifically, or just just in general? Because that's actually
Eh,
two different answers.
yeah, in general,
Both.
Okay,
both.
let's
Yeah,
yeah,
but
okay. Let's see here. At 814 in specific, I will simply say I would love to get another chance at Surge for that PA Grand Championship. And this time, I would like to win it if it is at all possible. But as far as a general scope is concerned, I know you two have taken some more diligent notes on me, and I'm very flattered by that. But what I would really like to do, just in general, and that's what I've been doing actually the last for about 2 years, I would say, give or take, is I just want to get on the road. I want to go to different places. I want to meet different folks, in spite of the fact of how I speak, how I present myself. I still enjoy conversing with all walks of life. I don't care if you've wine and dine in the ivory towers. I don't care if you play cards with snakes. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I'm interested in perspective because sometimes my perspective is incorrect and I don't mind learning something. There's something to learn from everybody, and professional wrestling is a great way for me to have an excuse and a pretext to, let's say, go to Allentown, to Parkersburg from time to time, to go to stay within my own backyard of Pittsburgh. It would even take me so far, thus far, as to Tennessee. Am I open to getting my passport, which is slowly in the works, and I mean slowly? Would I be interested in going to Canada, to Japan, to Italy, to Africa, just simply to do my thing in that squared circle? Oh, you better believe it. I will be there with every ounce of me, with all the bells and the whistles, all the trinkets. You just better have some lava cake waiting for me after the match.
so is there one place in particular that you do have your sights set on? Like if you could wrestle anywhere in the world, is there one particular place that you really want to do that at? Like wrestle, that was worded terribly. Is there one place you would want to wrestle? Your ultimate dream place?
Hmm. That is mighty interesting. I know most people would say your typical like your WWE, your nowadays you would say AEW, TNA, or Impact, depending on your time period, Ring of Honor, New Japan, anything like that.
I mean geographically, by the way, but yes, you can pick a company as well.
All right. Well, actually, I'm going to kind of go in a direction you might not expect me to go, and I'm simply going to say that actually, in all honesty, I'm living my dreams right now, no matter where I go. Whether it's 814, whether it's HWF, whether it's Pros of Wrestling, whether it's some places I probably should not mention just for sake of.
Yeah.
But no matter where the road takes me, whether it takes me to some of the better places, like a 3LW, anything of that sort, or whether I simply stay put at an 814, or I land once again at a battlefield, or if I land at royalty, or if I go up to Canada and perhaps invade mystery wrestling. I have to say, I used to have those big dreams when I first started out, but then I realized looking out in the crowd, no matter how big, no matter how small it is, that's really what it's about. It's about them. I So for me to say that I have one place in specific would actually, at this juncture of my life, be kind of an egregious lie because I live my dream no matter where I go. Just put me in the squared circle, give me some people that are ravenous for a good evening, and actually I'm a happy guy.
Hey, so I went to culinary school 100 years ago, and one of the deans of my culinary school was a French chef, and he said, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, is doing what you love. And so it's not work or anything for you because it's what you love.
Without this, honestly, I don't know where I would be. And I don't mean that to sound a little bit crass, but there's more honesty in that than you might realize. no matter where this journey takes me, I just want to give this everything I've got because the fact of the matter is, and the saying goes, I'm not going to be here for a long time because I believe I told you both my age at one point. I don't vividly recall. Have I?
I don't recall either.
Sir? Right?
I don't recall a gentleman revealing those details.
Okay. Well, I'll reveal it. I'm not gun shy about it. Pardoning something of a pun here. I'm actually 37 years old by this point. So do I have a long career ahead of me? No. No, I don't. But you know what? I'm bound and determined with every ounce of me, every all 170 pounds of me, with no matter how many books I read, whether I have Friedrich Nietzsche with me or Carl Jung, it doesn't matter. I'm here to make this foray into professional wrestling, this foray just in life in general, the absolute best that I can. That that is my dream. That is my mission, and as I said, I'm so grateful that I can live that.
Now, this podcast, we may not be the biggest podcast, but we do have some followers and friends in places like Game Changer Wrestling and Blitzkrieg Pro Wrestling out of Western Mass. If you could deliver one message to the wrestling world and these companies, what would it be?
Well, before I get to the message, because I will need a moment to think about that, please don't sell yourself short. You probably have a lot more going on for you than you could ever realize.
Thank you, Godric.
Please, I merely speak truth on this matter. But as far as a GCW would be concerned, or any other, shall we call them notable companies, to be nice about it, would that be fair to say?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
As far as they're concerned, if they do see this, what I will simply say is this: you are looking at a gentleman of exquisite caliber. You are looking at a herald of the old ways that has zero issue, zero compulsion, and zero hesitation for getting on the road and doing what it is that he does best. Now, whether that is enjoying a good read in the study, or laying a thrashing upon a rapscallion, or having a spirited contest with a friend, look no further than Godrick Sandwell, and he promises to bring a soiree that where whatever town it is that you happen to be residing in at that particular moment will never ever forget.
That's awesome. So, the first time I met Steve's dad, he said, "When you meet him, I want you to tell him." It was like a birthday party for him, but he was working and he was going to come home to all of us people at his house. He said, "Tell him this is what is it? A wonderful soiree you've got here." I have to bring that word back, soiree.
Please do. I'm doing my best over here. It's not quite caught on the way I would want to yet, but we're making traction here.
I'm totally going to use soiree. And also, the next time that my kids are being little animals, I'm going to call them rapscallions for sure.
Seems a little bit much. I mean,
Am I misinterpreting it? What is a
no. That's
rapscallion?
not what I mean. It's just more of do you want to call them rapscallions, or would you rather call them truants if you really want to be a little bit more to the point?
I don't know. I mean, what would be the situation where I'd use truants?
Well, I guess that would depend on your particular perspective. I'm not going to sit here and say what you should say or what you should not. Obviously, I have my recommendation given the situation, but I'm not going to sit here and grandstand and do that.
Do you have anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like us to ask about before we kind of pivot a little?
Hmm. Well, I mean, if you like to keep up with yours truly, I am the Gentleman of Exquisite Caliber, Godrick Sandwell on Facebook. That's the easiest way to keep up with me. That's when I'm on the most. I do respond to messages quite frequently, in spite of the fact I'm having a little trouble with technology, but I'm trying my best. These flip phones are a curse. These are flip phones, right?
Jeffrey was looking into it for you. I do remember that much.
Okay, yes, I do remember the term, shockingly enough, so I will have to, confer with him whenever we are done. But nevertheless, I actually have a show coincidentally for 814, coming up at the let me think here. I believe it is the ENG, it's either Field or Arena. Forgive me, I'm drawing a small blank, but I know it's in Altoona. I know it's courtesy of the Altoona Curve, and as a matter of fact, I, caught wind that one hacksaw Jim Duggan will be in attendance as well.
Man, I work
You
till
got it, tough
5:30.
guy.
Yeah, I work till 5:30 and Altoona's about 45 minutes away, and I'm, like, absolutely distraught that I cannot make it to that show because I really would like to go.
Oh, how droll. I love it when regular life gets in the way.
Right. Dang it, 9 to 5. Um,
You're not joking.
we like to have our guests do, like, a promo, about our podcast,
Yeah, where you basically intro yourself and you're listening to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast and
like that.
your own touch, your own spin, your own gentlemanly ways.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I knew exactly where you were going the moment it was, like, a little bit more embellished, but yeah, 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 I think I can cover you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, angels and demons, Nephilim and Cambion, Lycanthrope and Dumbbeard, this is the gentleman of exquisite caliber, the herald of the old ways, Godrick Sandwell, and you are watching the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast right here on your chosen platform. Enjoy.
That was fantastic. Thank you for that.
Of course.
All right, that's going to wrap up things for part 1 of this week's Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast.
A huge thank you to Godrick Sandwell for joining us and giving us a look behind the curtain at his career, his mindset, and what it truly means to carry yourself with a little class in the wrestling business.
If you're not already following his journey, now is the time because something tells us this won't be the last time you'll be hearing the name Godrick Sandwell.
But don't go anywhere because we're just getting warmed up.
Coming up in part 2, we're breaking down one of the biggest wrestling weekends of the year. We'll preview WWE Night of Champions, NXT Great American Bash, TNA Slammiversary, and the International Dream Match Extravaganza that is AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door.
Championships are on the line, scores will be settled, predictions will be made, and at least one of us is probably going to end up looking completely ridiculous by the time the weekend is over.
Why'd you look at me?
You're the only one here.
So grab a drink, hit that subscribe button, and stick around. All right, guys, before we jump back into the show, I got to tell you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's looking like $1,000,000 without spending $1,000,000.
If you're listening to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast, you're already a top tier wrestling fan. You care about the history, you care about the storytelling, you care about who really won that promo battle.
So why not dress like it?
Over at Pro Wrestling Tees, you can grab the official Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling merch. And buddy, this isn't some fly-by-night cheap print situation.
We're talking soft, comfortable tees,
Clean, bold designs.
the kind of shirt that works at a live show, a meetup, or your weekly pay-per-view watch party.
And here's the thing. When you rock the logo, you're not just wearing a shirt, you're repping the show. You're part of the conversation, and you're part of the community.
So do me a favor.
Right now, open up that browser.
Search Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Grab the shirt. Maybe grab two. One for you, one for the tag partner in your life.
Support the podcast, support the brand.
And look like you belong in the front row while you're doing it.
All right, let's get back to the show.